Hey, how are you? Welcome back. I'm Andrew at St. Croix Cards on Instagram, and this is On the Road to the World Cup powered by SlabStox. And can you believe it? It is November. It is World Cup month, and I could not be more excited about what's going to take place in just a few short weeks. We have 17 days as of this recording before we see that opening game in Qatar. Can't wait for it. It's going to be great. Here it is, November, and we have so much to talk about. So many things are going to take place in the next week to 10 days that are really going to leave us with a ton to talk about. And the biggest thing that is going to start to come out as you see news and as you see things kind of pop up on Instagram and Twitter are going to be those solidified 26-man rosters that we're waiting to hear from. Now, some of the countries we already kind of know. I know Japan has kind of come out and said, here are our 26 guys. And so you can go out and find, okay, who has made the team for the World Cup for Japan. But for the likes of like the U.S. men's national team, I believe that's coming November 9th. So as of this recording, we got about 6 days to wait to see who is finalized and who is going to go to Qatar. England, I think, is the 10th. And so you're going to start to see those final rosters come out. And that's what I'm kind of really looking forward to. But we got a ton to talk about today. The injury list is piling up. Superstars, great players who are not going to make it to the World Cup due to injury because this World Cup is happening mid-season. I could go on for days on how I don't think this is the ideal time to have a World Cup, but that's neither here nor there. So we got to talk about those. We also have to take a look at the letter G today. That would be Group G as we look at some really big teams that are going to find their way into that group. And there's some great matchups as we will break those down here in a little bit. And then we got to talk about who's hot, who's playing really well right now, and who is not playing well at all. We're going to finish it up with some predictions, who is going to come out of Group G, and we'll call it an episode. So without further ado, let's gas it up. Let's get going, and let's get on the road to the World Cup. And we start with U.S. men's national team news, and nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it truly is a race against time for Weston McKennie. Now, he pulled up with a thigh injury here this last week, and they're talking about 3 weeks of recovery time. So if you start to do the math, that would mean the World Cup has started before Weston McKennie would be fit enough to play. The question will be, I don't think the question is he on the roster? I think Weston McKennie is a lock to make the roster unless something catastrophic happens with the thigh. I don't know if he's going to be available in game one. That's what we really have to look at and say, okay, is he going to be able to play in game one as we kick off the World Cup against Wales? So it's going to be time as tell, but I think, dodging that, injury bug right now, those small injuries could have lasting impacts because we don't really have that break from league play to the World Cup when it's in summer. We're going to roll right out of league play and directly into the World Cup. So hopefully Weston McKennie can get fit fast and be ready for that opening game against Wales. Big news is the setback on the knee injury for Paul Pogba. He is out of the World Cup. He will not be playing in Qatar here in a few weeks. And that is a big blow to the French midfield. We talked about the French and that midfield a little bit in their young superstars, Chouameni, and we also have Camavinga, and we looked at some of their prices in previous episodes. But it is the shoulder of that midfield load is going to be on very, very young talent for the French national team. And what Didier Deschamps does in that midfield is going to be extremely interesting to me and how he sets up and how he plays. And again, those young stars, you're going to either see them, thrive, or it could be rough going for the French in that midfield. I think that's going to be kind of the big question mark for them at this World Cup. How does the midfield perform? We know they have attacking talent. We know they have Kylian Mbappe up front, but how is that midfield going to be able to control those games is going to be the real test. Big news as well. Just you hate to see it. Ben Chilwell. This is another defensive blow to the England national team. Chilwell tore his hamstring, I believe, in his Champions League game. He is out of the World Cup. He won't be playing. And what England is going to do in that back four is going to be also something to keep an eye on and see what is Gareth Southgate going to do with the back four and who is going to line up on their opening game against, I believe it's Iran, and how are they going to set up and how are they going to look at the back? Because defensively, you got to be solid if you're going to win a World Cup. Again, Timo Werner. Now this is, for Germany, ankle injury. He is out of the World Cup. He will not be participating in Qatar. And we've already taken a little bit, what does Germany look like? Who is going to be their attacking force? Some of the guys, midfielders, who is going to rise to the occasion? Is this an idea of next man up? And so, unfortunately, not going to see Timo Werner, who had been starting to put some goals in back in Germany and back in the Bundesliga away from Chelsea. But again, not going to see him in the World Cup, and that's just really unfortunate. And here's the other one that's interesting to me. I don't know around, it's still kind of brand new information, but Tottenham released a statement. I believe it was either this morning or late yesterday that Heung-min Son has a fracture in his face or in a bone in his face, and it does require surgery and no timetable for recovery. This would be a huge, huge blow for South Korea in the World Cup if he can't go. Now, I don't know if there's some kind of mask that could be worn or, he could work around that, but these are the type of injuries that we see where there's no time of recovery. And if it is 3, 4, 5 weeks out, there could be a result of him not being available at the World Cup. And it would just be, devastating for these guys who wait 4 years to be on the world stage just to have it taken away by an injury, 2, 3, 4 weeks. And some of these guys, that come to mind, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, even Son if he can't, Timo Werner, like these guys may get another chance, as they're young enough, as Reece James and some of these guys are pretty young. They might have that second chance, but there's no guarantees. What does any team look like in 4 years? Who are the upcoming 16, 17-year-olds? They're going to be pressing for those spots in 4 years when it's in Mexico, Canada, the United States. So really, really, you feel for these guys when we just say, oh, they're not in the World Cup, and what does that do to their card prices? But really, these guys have trained and worked their whole lives. Their dream is to play in the World Cup, and you want them to be able to fulfill those dreams that they've worked so terribly hard for. So you just feel like, every one of these guys that goes down with an injury right now, I'm like, come on, fast fitness, we can get these guys back. They, never say never. But for some of them, they're out, and it's not happening, and you just feel for them. But here we go. Group G today. We got Brazil. So we're going to be talking about a lot of attacking players in Brazil. We got Serbia, we got Switzerland, and we got Cameroon. I thought I'd bring this up because, I looked at this group right when it came out, and I was like, this group looks really, really familiar. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go back. And I went back to 2018, right? Here is Group E from 2018. You got Brazil, you got Switzerland, you got Costa Rica, and you got Serbia. So just take out Costa Rica and just insert Cameroon, and it's really almost the same group. That's pretty crazy that 3 out of the 4 teams have been redrawn in the same group. Now, if it means anything, in 2018, the 2 teams that went out or went through to the knockout rounds were Brazil and Switzerland. So Serbia and Costa Rica did not make the knockout rounds. But we'll see. There's some interesting dynamics. Players change, new players come, and what impact can they have in this group, I think is going to be very, very interesting. Now, we're going to start with Cameroon. I've got one name out of Cameroon that I just want to kind of highlight. They're currently ranked 43rd in the FIFA rankings. They're not expected to move into the knockout stages. So they're not one of those teams that is looked at as, yes, this is a viable option. They're kind of, can they create an upset? Can they create some havoc in there? And I think one of the players that could be interesting on the wing is the Cameroon player for Brentford. Now, this is Brian Mbeumo. and he is a right wing. He's 23 years old. He doesn't score a ton. He's played about 13 games this year, 12 or 13 games in the Premier League, has 2 goals and an assist. Last year in the championship, though, he had a great year in the 40, I think he played in 47 games or 37 games, like almost the entire season, 8 goals, 10 assists. So he's active, he plays well, and is going to be looked to produce if Cameroon wants to, win a game or even if they have any shot to move on into that round of 16. But you can get some pretty nice rookie cards from him for pretty reasonable prices and pretty great products. So if you look at 2021 Immaculate Soccer, he's got that base rookie card, or it's not the base, it's out of 80, just sold October 24th for $12.50. Now you're getting into kind of like out of 80s where you're going to need to find them. But if you do see them, you can get them for a pretty good price. Now, the other ones that are always interesting to me, though, I like the look of them, are those 1 troy ounce, those silver bar logo cards from Impeccable. Now, this is 2021, 2022 Impeccable, but that's the 1 troy ounce of silver. It's a logo. It's out of 32, sold the middle of October 15th for $47. So pretty low, low risk. And if he plays well and, he's still 23, he's got a lot of room and a lot of career left. So it might be something to just kind of look out there for and kind of see what's out there for his cards. But he's the one guy that I thought, maybe just to talk about him. Most people may have not heard of him unless you're a big Brentford fan, or maybe you saw him score one of those 2 goals that he had this year in the Premier League against your club. But one guy that maybe you just want to keep an eye out in this group. Now, Serbia is 21st in the FIFA ranking, so we're going to do them in order here. So Cameroon, then Serbia, then we'll do Switzerland and finish off with Brazil. But Serbia, there's a guy that I just think maybe we're forgetting about a little bit, and maybe rightly so. But when we look at Luka Jovic, he had this great year at Frankfurt in the Bundesliga, and then got this massive move to Real Madrid and was kind of a flop and really didn't play well, wasn't putting in goals. I think he got loaned back out to Frankfurt, just really not in a good place. And now he's in Fiorentina in Serie A, and he's 24 years old, and we've seen in the Bundesliga that he can put in the goals. Can he find his form? And if he can find his form, maybe this is a low buy with an opportunity to grow. We've seen him score goals in the past. Now, will he completely, score a ton of goals for Serbia and in Serie A? We haven't seen that yet. But again, I think, the transition period, he came out in a news article this week and was like, I think it was way too early for me to move from Frankfurt, from the Bundesliga to Real Madrid. I don't know if that was a good thing for my career. So maybe, getting in the right headspace for strikers sometimes is the greatest thing. And you just start seeing them, put the goals in. But he's got some good, in my opinion, low cost cards. And the first one that I was looking at is 2019-2020. That's the Obsidian out of 165. This is a PSA 10, and the last one sold October 28th for $45. So a PSA 10 Obsidian. I really like the Obsidian set, especially for soccer. And here is an earlier one in 1920 out of 165. So it is numbered, and it is a PSA 10. For just $45. And that was the best offer. That wasn't even, a bidded. So somebody threw out that offer and it was accepted. The other one is a completely value play, but I was also looking, I was like, I wonder what else he has and how far has he fallen? So this is his 2019-2020 gold standard. Now it's numbered out of 129. It is a raw card, but it sold at the end of August 31st. So, a little while ago for $2.80 on auction. Just showing, where this, as a kid that got that big money move to Real Madrid, and we've seen it before where players get those big moves and they don't quite work out. One of the big ones for me is always, Eden Hazard got that big move to Real Madrid, and the production they expected from him and what he's been able to produce there has not been the same. Or has not lived up to the expectations. And so this one is more, if he's going to be on the Serbia team, he's going to probably have some chances created for him, because I think a lot of eyes and a lot of people are going to not think about Jovic, and they're going to look at Dusan Vlahojevic. And Vlahojevic is kind of that name that a lot of people in the hobby have kind of grown accustomed to. He was on Fiorentina. Interesting that Jovic is on Fiorentina. Vlahojevic gets the move from Fiorentina to Juventus, and a lot of people know his rookie cards. He's got that rookie ticket out of Panini Chronicles, that 2019-2020 rookie ticket. The PSA 10 that I put up here is not the Tmall, is not the release in China, but this is just the regular rookie ticket. A PSA 10 of this card sold October 25th for $222.50. Now there is, with that there comes newer product, and even I like to look at what is the new products doing. His 2021-2022 Stadium Club Chrome. Now this is the gold refractor out of 50, so a little bit lower in the population. There's not a whole lot of them out there, but it sold October 22nd for $22.50. So if you're a big Vlahojevic fan, or you think this guy is going to be the next big thing, that's that. You do the research, look at the numbers, look at the goals he's putting in, because a lot of this time you want to know not only the name, because anybody and any person, myself included, could be like, Vlahojevic, go get him. But you got to do the research, and you got to look, and you have to be, excited about the players that you're buying, and you got to be, or maybe they're just attached to your club, but find the guys that you like, find the guys that, when you watch them play, there's a few of them that, when I watch them play, I'm like, this guy is for real. This kid knows what he's doing. And I think the biggest one was, and I know a lot of people be like, well, duh, but Phil Foden. When Arsenal would play, Phil Foden, I'd just be like, man, this kid can play. And I think he's only going to get better. And I think about that, in terms of who else do I think of that? When I watch them, they're just maybe faster, or they just look like they're dribbling circles on guys. And I'm like, okay, this kid has something. This kid got talent. So if Vlahojevic is the one for you, maybe you look into that, but there's going to be some striker options for Serbia, and there's going to be the possibility of scoring some goals for them. I think they're a force to be reckoned with in this group, and they could do some big things in this group as well. But we do have to talk about Switzerland. They are 15th in the FIFA rankings. Not that means a whole lot as we enter into the World Cup, but I would be remiss as an Arsenal guy if I didn't give a huge shout out to Granit Xhaka. Now I'm telling you, October, a few years ago, he's coming off the pitch, and he is not happy with the crowd and the fans at Arsenal, and he let us know, stripped of his captaincy, it would have been super easy for Granit to just say, you know what, give me a transfer out of here. And he has stuck it out, and he has played so well for Arsenal this year. So I think, if that form continues, like he's playing in more of an attacking role, more attacking than I've ever seen from him in his time at Arsenal, and he's making runs into the box. If he is going to do that for Switzerland, I think we could be in for, this could be who is that second team that is going to move out of group here, whether it's going to be Serbia or Switzerland. But I think he, in the midfield, can control the midfield and can kind of, boss it around, if you will, and he could do some great things. So I just put up a few cards here. The first one is his 2016 Topps Premier League. This is his rookie card. It has that rookie logo, and it's kind of the old school rookie logo with the soccer ball on the side. This sold October 19th for $10. This is just a base card, but it is 2016, so it's a little bit older, a little bit more difficult to find. And then the other one I put in there is his 2018 Prism World Cup. Now, this is the orange out of 65. Both of these cards are raw, but this one sold October 9th for $3.25. Now, this, again, I put this in there because there is, if I'm digging through value boxes at shows, or, if I find, numbered Arsenal cards, yeah, I'm putting that in. I'm putting that in a box, and I'm putting that away. I'm an Arsenal fan. So if I'm seeing cards of Arsenal guys, yeah, I'm picking those up all day long. And maybe you can relate. Maybe it's Chelsea, or maybe it's Man City, or maybe it's Man United, or, maybe it's Leicester City, or maybe it's West Ham United. Guys love to collect their players. And I think it's even fun to look at, because as players move on, and as the team changes, you can go back and kind of go by year, and, it brings up that nostalgia, that, reminiscing of, oh, you remember when we won that FA Cup? Oh, you remember when, Santi Cazorla scored that free kick? Those are the things that I love. And when you pick up those cards and you look at them and you're like, man, it kind of brings that all back. And I know a lot of guys talk about that in other podcasts in the hobby, but it is so true. And the nostalgia is real. And so I can't wait to create those memories at this World Cup, because you're always going to get them. You're always going to get those moments of brilliance. You're going to get those last minute goals that send you on to a semifinal, or that goal that wins you the World Cup for your country. And I just can't wait to experience that with the group here on the road to the World Cup. I can't wait that we can experience that together. So that's Granit Xhaka. The other one is more of a striker, and that's Noah Okafor, and he is going to probably be very around when you're talking about needing goals, and he plays in Austria. He's at RB Salzburg. Sorry, he's at Salzburg, and you can kind of see some of his cards too. His rookie year was that 2020, that big class. Topps Merlin is the one I put there. A PSA 10 of his. I believe that's the purple out of $299. Sold for $50 on October 28th, so not too long ago. And then the other one was the Stadium Club. This is a raw refractor out of 99, and that sold for under $20 on October 17th. So $18.19 on eBay auction, but that is raw. But I also like that too because, just aesthetically pleasing. I've said it before, but Stadium Club, I love the photography out of Stadium Club. I love what they're able to do and what they have on cards because, these cards too are, it's artwork. Really, like when you look at these cards and they're just beautiful pieces of art, whether it's the colors, whether it's the variations, whether it's refractors, those are the things that, I look for too. Is like, do I like the look of this card? And, for those Stadium Club cards, I really enjoy them a lot. He does have autos. They had that kind of team set, very similar to the PSG set. And so he does have autos there, and you can see that here on the screen. But this is also from the 2021, 2022 Topps Chrome Salzburg, and that is his auto. Sold October 3rd for $68.57. So you do have autos, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that those are on card as well. But that's a fun card too because he does have autos out there. But we got to talk Brazil. I mean, we can talk Cameroon, we can talk Serbia, and there are some names that we want to talk about there. We can talk Switzerland, and we can go down, memory lane for Arsenal and for me. But really, one of the biggest favorites of this tournament is Brazil. And when I started putting this together, and I was like, who should I talk about? And I started to look through who's going to be that attacker, who's going to be in the midfield. There was just name after name after name after name, and I'm like, man, who do you pick? So I'm going to try to pick them all. I'm going to try to, I'm not going to do the Pokemon thing. I'm not going to try to catch them all. I'm going to try to talk at least about some of them. So if you're new to this and you're like, man, who's going to play? Who's going to, who's on Brazil's team? And if for some of you, maybe you're looking through this and be like, okay, now I got to pick who I like, who am I excited to see. So we're going to get into it first. And I think maybe the most important player, minus Neymar, in this tournament. I know that's a big statement, but Bruno Guimaraes is the midfielder for Newcastle. And I think that is that maybe the weakest point of the Brazilian national team is their midfield play. And this guy has been playing extremely well for Newcastle United. And I think that he is going to be a big name to watch in the World Cup as he kind of anchors that midfield for Brazil. He does not have any cards. This is, the card on the screen is the 2022 National Treasure, and that's the first off the line Ruby. That's out of 11, and I know people are being like, I can't go out and find the 11. I realize this is the only sale that I could find on Card Ladder Pro. So, I mean, I was looking all week being like, okay, does anybody sell any NTs, any NT cards of Bruno Sell, any NT cards of Bruno Sell? This one finally sold today, the 1 out of 11 for $162.50. Now that is raw. And like I said, this is it for cards or cards for him. And so if you're thinking, I want to get in on this guy, I think a lot of guys are starting to be like, okay, he doesn't have any cards and the cards are limited in NT. So maybe we got to look, wait for the other sets. Maybe we got to wait for, Prism of World Cup, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But in another episode next week, as it probably has already released, as we can talk about it here at next week. But one to watch, midfield. I think he's going to be huge or hugely important for that Brazilian national team. I mean, if we're talking Brazilian wingers, we have to talk Gabriel Martinelli because this kid is playing well for Arsenal, who continues to be in first in the Premier League, and that has made me extremely happy after a few years of not living up to the expectations that I have, and I think a lot of other Arsenal fans have. But Gabriel Martinelli puts in shifts every time that he is on the pitch, and you can get some great cards of Gabriel Martinelli. One of them that I like, those color matches are just beautiful. Here's a raw Prism EPL rookie card of Gabriel Martinelli from 2021, 2022. This is numbered since it's red out of 199. That raw one sold for $64 on October 29th. So $64 $4, for a rookie, numbered to 199, and aesthetically pleasing. That red jersey with the red shield, or the red badge with the red border. I just love the way that it looks. Now, he does also have autos in that 2021-2022 Panini Prism EPL, and that the one that I have on the screen is a PSA 10 with the auto. That's a 10, and that sold October 23rd for $350. Now, again, I may be a little biased. Sorry, but I really think that the young players for Arsenal are some of the best signatures that you can get out there. I love Saka, Bukayo Saka's signature, and I think I've mentioned that before as well, where he has the Saka and then he's got the 7 that's there as well. But Martinelli's is so clean. You can tell that it's him. He does really well to keep it on the sticker, so you can see that as well. I love the autos of the young Arsenal players, but Martinelli, this could be a good chance for him, possibly to break out. He's already broken out and people talk about him in the Premier League, but this could be big for him as the world watches him. But we have other names as well. We can talk about Antony and that big monster move to Manchester United. I know, there was that controversy here this last week of, the rolling the ball, the showboating stuff. I would love to know your guys' thoughts. I kind of saw that and I was like, what? I get it, but I don't at the same time. He's got flair. He can, he's got the ability. It didn't hurt anybody. Maybe it's an unwritten rule that I don't know. So if that's the case, leave a comment and like and be like, yeah, you're way off. That was way out in left field. But I think we've seen it before from other players as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think Neymar did, kind of either a rainbow or a heel flick a while back, and the same kind of thing happened. And it kind of just blows over pretty quickly. But here's some cards for Antony if you're looking at him. His 2020, 2021. This is the Topps Chrome Sapphire. This is the base card, but it is a PSA 10 that I put up on the screen, and that sold for $100 even. So it's a $100 bill on October 29th of 2022. And then the other one, he does have autos in 2022 Topps Chrome Champions League. And that kind of refractor auto sold October 23rd for $50. So there are some, you can get some of the autos or even some PSA 10s for $100 or less for Antony as well. Now you can also do even more research. Now he does have numbered stuff. I'm sure you can kind of see what else is out there as well. Don't just take the 2 examples I give and then just start looking for those cards. I think it's really important if you see a player or you're like, yeah, I forgot about him and he's good. Go in, go do some research, see what cards have been selling. If you have Card Ladder, great. I find myself all the time there just kind of looking at names. I'll take a look and be like, okay, Antony, what is sold recently? What are things going for? And even if they have card indexes, those are great too. But if you don't have Card Ladder and you're like, I don't spend the money on Card Ladder, you could do the same thing with eBay. That's a great thing too, is you can just type in the name and you see what's listed. But I love to click on the sold items and go, okay, what's been moving and what are the prices that they're moving? And it does take a little bit of work, but you put in the work and you can make some really good educated decisions on who you want to buy and who you want to hold as you watch the World Cup. Because that's for me too. It's, some of it is, who do I want to root for? Who am I behind? Who do I hope, gets the golden boot, or who do I hope ultimately lifts the World Cup? Now, one of those guys, okay, we'll go 3 Arsenal guys today, right? Gabriel Jesus, and this is his first year with Arsenal, and he's really done well for us. Now, he doesn't score the goals like Haaland does. He doesn't, score the 17, 18 and on pace to break records, but I am so just impressed by the work rate of Gabriel Jesus and the unselfishness that it plays. I watching these games, like there are times where he can take some difficult shots and he's the one laying the ball off for an easy goal for a teammate. And that's what it's all about. And that's kind of, what I've seen and noticed is that, this young core at Arsenal, they're just willing to play together, to work together, to win together. It's not a one-man show. It seems like, and I'm not I'm not behind the scenes this year, and we can't go to, the Netflix series or the where we kind of take a look at what's going on behind the scenes. But I've been really impressed by how he's been playing. Now, his 2022 Merlin, his orange refractor auto out of 25. And I pointed this one out again, you're probably not going to see a ton of them on eBay, and you're not going to be like, oh, there are the other 24. Which one do I want? But it sold for $68.03. And I thought, again, that's on October 29th, and I thought, that's a pretty, for a raw card of Gabriel Jesus, who's playing well. I think that for me, I'm like, I wish I would have known that auction was up there. Instead of past the time that it had already lapsed. Now the other cards that I love, I love color from 2017 Topps Chrome, and here's his green that and this would be the rookie card. I think he's got some like Topps Gold in 2016, but really this is the first big card for Gabriel Jesus. $81 on October 17th for a raw out of 99 Topps Chrome UCLA. And I think that's our Champions League. I think that's an iconic set. I think that's, only going to continue to be desirable over time. And he is going to play big part in the attacking role. Last one here that I put up there, the one that didn't fit on the screen, I didn't want to make him too small, right? But the 2018 Prism World Cup, this is the Gabriel Jesus red Prism out of 149. It's a PSA 10, sold September 30th for $202.50. So, kind of hopefully price points all across the board, a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but stuff for everybody. If you're, looking to get into some great Arsenal players, you can get Xhaka, you can get Gabriel, you can get, Martinelli. It's all there for you. But I think, again, Vinny Jr. is going to play a role. I still think Bruno is that second best or that second most important player behind Neymar, but Vinny Jr. would have to be, for me, number 3. And he has been phenomenal at Real Madrid over the past 18 months. I am so impressed with him, but I think he's always the guy I look at when I start to talk about, when guys talk about prospecting and how quickly any hobby moves on from players, how they kind of write players off and they're like, you know what? Yeah, they're not going to cut it. They didn't, and we forget that these kids are 17, 18, 19 years old. And, whether they move, to another continent, or another country, different language, barriers, new teammates, new living quarters. We got to get, some of these guys, they just need time to settle in. And boy, has Vinny Jr. settled in and really done a nice job. Now this, the cards that I picked are from the same set. This is the Optic Aqua Prism out of 2018. Out of 149. This is a Gem Mint PSA 10 that sold October 22nd for $1,674. So pretty high on that rated rookie Aqua out of 149. So that's a big sale for that card, and it was a fixed price as well, so you can kind of see like what that card is doing. But you also have the Optic Holo, which is not numbered. This is a raw, and that one sold October 25th for $100. So we got really, really high, almost $1,700, and then you've got, maybe an affordable like $100 can get you an Optic Holo rookie of Vinny Jr. Now, a couple other cards, because I can't just stop with 2 with Vinny Jr. because he is so popular and people, do recognize the name and how he's been playing. But his 2021-2022 Topps Museum. So this is a Sapphire out of 75. It's an SGC 10. And again, I just love that color. As you look at some of these, cards, they look so good on that tuxedo. In that tuxedo, in that black background, it really allows the color to come through and pop. So I really love SGC for that as well. But this one out of 75, SGC 10 sold for $76 on October 27th. And then he does have autos. He has in Panini Chronicles, this is Origins. This is an auto out of 21, 22. August 22nd, it sold for $112.50. So you got, some low numbered cards that you can find. You've got those rookies, Optic Holos. You got the Aqua Prism out of 149 at kind of the higher end, but you do have autos as well. Be honest, to completely just being completely transparent with you, don't love the auto. Doesn't do a whole lot for me. I like the auto to be able to be clean, to be able to read it. Not a big fan of the auto myself, but if you're, a big fan of autos in general, you have the option of finding Vinny Jr. autos. We're going to talk Neymar, and the guy has been on a blistering pace at PSG. It seems like he's kind of turned it up a notch this year. He's staying healthy, which is a good thing as well. But some of those early cards, 2014 Prism, I threw up the auto up there. It's a PSA 9, sold October 27th for $350. He's got stuff kind of across the board, 2014, 2015, 2016. 2016 Select, this is the silver. This is a PSA 10, sold October 19th for $49.77. So you can get some really earlier stuff. And I'm a big fan of that kind of pre 2019. So, 2018 Prism World Cup, 2017 Topps Chrome. When you get into the 2016s, 2015 selects, I really like those early soccer sets, and you can find Neymar in all of them. Here's 2015 select. This is the red out of 199. Again, a PSA 10, sold September 18th for $180. And then he does have autos in other sets. So if you know that 2014 Prism auto set, it's kind of expensive and you're like, I can't afford that. He does have some in other places. Here's a 2020, 2021 Panini's Chronicle. This is Crown Royale. This is the patch auto. So this is out of 389. This sold for $215 on October 28th. Now it is raw, but you can get kind of some of those cool patch autos. And this one in particular, I just love because that 2-color patch looks really good. He's in the Barcelona kit. The auto looks real good. So I thought, hey, for $215 to have an auto of Neymar as, he's leading up to the World Cup, what is Brazil going to do? And I think that's the key question. And I couldn't, I was thinking, what would I love to have and what I love. This is St. Croix Cards. This is Andrew dreaming now. Like, hey, what would it be like? And this 2018 National Treasure, the Neymar Jr. and the Pele auto. I know it's out of 20. It sold early September, but it sold for $4,000 on PWCC's in their vault on a best offer. And I look at that card and I'm like, that is just a beautiful card. You got Pele's auto, you got Neymar, and it gets interesting if Pele. If Neymar can kind of cross off a World Cup on his list. What happens to Neymar if Brazil can win the World Cup and he's kind of the leader that brings them there? Now, that's a big if. That's a tall order. There's a lot of teams out there that are buying for the same prize, and they will do anything to get there. But just it makes me start to think. And the fact that it's a PSA 10 is also just crazy to me. So that's just a beautiful card. I thought I'd share, we always dream, right? We dream, how far can the U.S. men's national team go? How far can England go? What can Brazil do? What's France going to do? How many can Mbappe win? And here I'm looking at cards and I'm like, man, this would be a beautiful card to own, to have a Pele auto and Neymar auto on the same card. Now, sometimes that doesn't work if you got two guys and you don't want one of them, but I would definitely want both of these guys on the same card. So we're going to finish it up today. We've been talking a lot about Group G. Let's talk about who's hot, and we're going to stay in Group G because maybe you noticed it. I got through as many Brazil attackers as I could, and hopefully threw out a lot of names as you kind of start to sift through. Now, who's going to start in those positions? That's a whole different story, and we'll have to wait and see there. If I missed somebody, if you think, you didn't talk about X, Y, or Z, feel free to leave a comment below. I didn't talk about Richarlison. He's been injured, so I didn't know if I should talk about him. Is he going to be on the team? So that was a little bit. And he plays for Spurs, and so I thought I'd just kind of slide that one out there. But if you think I should have, definitely leave a comment below. But Rodrigo is the person that I think that needs to be addressed, just how well he's been playing as of late. For Real Madrid, they've been kind of clicking on all cylinders here. 10 games this year in La Liga. He has 4 goals and 4 assists. So pretty good numbers there in the Champions League. He's got 6 Champions League, 3 goals, 1 assist. So he's putting in some contribution. He's contributing to it, and he's still just 21 years old. And the reason I say that is he's got stuff from 2019, 2020. He's got stuff while he was a teenager, and the first one is his Contenders rookie ticket. Now, this is a team all. This is the red parallel. This was the release that happens only in China, or that's where they were coming from. So the team all, that red that you're going to see, that's the difference between rookie tickets that are like the base. The Vlahojevic I saw or showed you, there was no kind of those red borderings there. That was not a team all. That was just kind of the regular edition. This one is that team all, sold for $34 on October 28th. And that is a raw copy. And then also he's got some, some fun inserts in other products as well. The 2020 Mosaic, La Liga, that Rodrigo. This is his. This is the Peacock, and it sold for $162.50 on October 20th. That is a PSA 10 though, but just a beautiful card there as he's, as he is in the Real Madrid kit. He's also got some dual autos out of Obsidian. Again, Obsidian's a great place to go to find some players that you may not find in every product. But they also, I think, do a really good job of, patch autos and just kind of changing up the look of the cards as well. So this is Electric Etch Orange. This is out of 50. So pretty low print number, sold October 6th for $99.99. So that is just under $100. But I think he's been hot. He's been playing well, and it would be lovely to see him. Lovely. What am I doing here? It would be great to see him play extremely well for Brazil here in just a couple of weeks. We got to talk who's not, and it might be a player that does not make the team, unfortunately. Jadon Sancho. There was so much hype around Jadon Sancho and the big, massive money move to Man United, and it just hasn't taken off yet. Now, I don't write off players. I don't write off young players, giving them time to transition. And I think when you go to Man United, when you play at Man United, I do firmly believe that there is added pressure. There is a bigger weight on your shoulders, especially if you are the big money signing coming in. We've seen that throughout, the last few years. You talk about guys who've come in and not lived up to what they should have done. I think of Angel Di Maria coming in and maybe not reaching full potential. Then you had, Memphis Depay got the big money move to Man United and didn't quite work out. And so there's been those players that have come and been like, this is the guy that's going to take us to the next level. And it just doesn't happen. And so 10 games into a Premier League season, Jadon Sancho has 2 goals and 1 assist. Now, his last goal in the Premier League was the 1st of September. So he hasn't scored a goal in the Premier League since September 1. Now, he's only played 4 games in the Europa League, and he only has 1 goal, and that came on the 15th of November. So we've gone all of October. We are now into November, and Jadon Sancho has not scored a goal. Now, the joy and in the rest of September, all of October, and now here into November. So I think we've really got to look at Jadon Sancho. And you can see it in the card market. So here's the index. Here's the 1-year index of Jadon Sancho. All this information is from Card Ladder. So I love to see kind of the charts over time, just a consistent falling of his card prices. Now I picked a couple just to kind of take a look at, and also because, with an index, with Jadon Sancho having an index, you can kind of look at the cards. You can move the index from the overall to the individual card. And here is his Kaboom 2021 Donruss Road to Qatar, his PSA 10, sold for $317.01 on October 30th. But look at where that card has been. Like, that card was trending extremely high, and it's just been kind of on a continuous down. There was a little blip where it came back up, but it's just been on a steady decline over the past year. Now, the 2018 Topps Chrome, this is his refractor. It sold for $111.16 on October 1st. This is a pop of only 113, but you can see just kind of the uncertainty, if you will, of the market. You have the spike, and I'll give you one guess for why that spike occurs in the past year. And that's the transfer, right? That's where, like, he moved to Man United and everybody gets excited, goes out. Now he's starting to come back, and the prices, have started to trend a little bit upwards, not a ton. But it's also interesting because a year ago and to where the card is now, we've almost kind of come back full circle. But if he does not make the World Cup team, if he stays in Manchester and does not make the England national team, I don't know what that. It can't be a good thing for his market, and he hasn't been playing in form enough for me to say yes, I would want Jadon Sancho to come with me and the England national team to Qatar. So I don't think he's going to make it, but he is definitely who's not. Thought I'd throw that out there. If you disagree, you can throw it down in the likes. But Manchester United has been putting a string of good performances together. They're playing well. I mean, they beat Arsenal 3-1. It's the only loss Arsenal has all year, and they looked good. And I think that they're starting to kind of click and find their rhythm, but he hasn't quite found his rhythm either. So it's interesting to me, and it's definitely one that I'm kind of keeping my eye on and watching as the season progresses. But as we come back to Group G, Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon, we got to do some predictions here, but I do have to ask, who do you want to go through? Who do you want of those 4 teams? Who do you want to see move on into the knockouts or into the round of 16? Now, I think Brazil, of course, their firepower, they are fairly well balanced in my opinion. Maybe the midfield is a little uncertain to me, but I think Bruno can do well there. And I think their attacking prowess is just going to serve them well in group play here. So I think Brazil goes through, and then for me, it comes down to Serbia and Switzerland. And I just don't know what to, I want to see Lahojevic in knockout games, and I want to see him playing well. But I do think we're going to see a repeat of 2018, and we're going to see Brazil, and we're going to see Switzerland come out of the group G, and move into the knockout stages, which gives us 1 week to go to talk about our last group, our last letter. I feel like I'm going through phonics with my 6-year-old daughter. We got 1 letter to go, and that is H. And it is a big group as well, as you can kind of see the 4 countries that are left there. We got to talk Portugal, we got to talk Ghana, Uruguay, and also South Korea. And we're going to talk about players from every single country because that is a loaded group. But I hope that this episode was helpful. I always love breaking it down, talking to you guys. I hope you had a good week. I hope that your week coming up is great. I cannot wait to talk again with you guys next week. Enjoy it. Enjoy the hobby and make it a great day. We'll see you next week.